Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about my blindness, and we're going to talk about what my condition is, what it entails, how it works, my experience when I went blind, as I promised you on my TikTok that I would. So here it is. First things first, blindness is a spectrum. Not blind does not mean total darkness. Okay? Anyone with a visual acuity on 2200 or less is considered to be a blind individual. I have to keep saying this until we get the whole world educated. I'm gonna keep saying it. So, the name of my condition is pseudotumor cerebri. And you can also say intracranial hypertension. Some people say IH for short. I've also heard doctors call it idiopathic intracranial hypertension. And idiopathic basically means that they don't know why. It just does. Like, it just happens. They don't know why it happens. It just happens. Some people develop this condition for no reason. Some people because of birth control. I happen to be one of those people who it was my birth control. A lot of people ask me, well, how exactly does birth control start it? Like I said before, idiopathic. Like, every time I ask a doctor how or why, they can never explain it to me. They don't know. They just say that they know that there's a direct correlation between birth control and a pseudotumor cerebri. So what pseudotumor cerebri is so too much fluid, like for some reason your body holds on to fluid, right? But then not only does it hold on to this excess fluid, but the excess fluid is held in your cranium, in your skull, right? And so there's so much fluid in your skull that it has nowhere to go, and it starts to put pressure on everything inside of your skull. So it puts pressure on your brain, it puts pressure on, like your back. Can remember, like, your backbones. It puts pressure mainly on your eyes, your optic nerves. Your optic nerves is the first thing it goes for. So it's so much pressure building up back behind your eyes that your optic nerves begin to become damaged. Like, they burst. Like, I had a lot of burst blood vessels in my eyes, and I couldn't figure out why I had all these red patches in my eyes. And extreme headaches was one symptom. Also, like, positional. What I mean by positional is, like, I don't know what made me think to do it, but I was hanging upside down on the bed, and I was like, oh wow, when I hang upside down, my headache goes away. And that is a symptom, apparently. I had loud swishing in my ears. It was like, you know how people hold seashells up to their ears and like, oh, I can hear the ocean when I put my ear up to the shell. Like, it sounded like that in my ears all the time. Intermittent blindness. There was a time where I was driving in my car, and all of a sudden my eyes just went dark. I saw nothing. Like, I just went blind. And I was driving in the car with my friend, and I stomped on the brakes. But that's a whole other story. We'll get into that story later. Other symptoms, nausea and vomiting. I was violently throwing up, like projectile. Pain medication did not help. Like, like, they would give me morphine sometimes, and it just lessened the pain. I was still very much in pain. Okay, so we're gonna go all the way back to the very beginning, before the diagnosis, before we even realized what was going on. So I want to say my timeline might be really jacked up because it's been so long. I've been going through this for so long, and a lot of the memories got jumbled up And my mind did that thing that it does when you have trauma and you forget things. Like, you literally hit delete and forget some things out of your memory and things like that. Which is why I'm not going to tell the whole story today. I'm just going to give you guys a piece of it today, because if I go through the whole story today, this is going to be like a 3-4 hour video. No lie. I know y'all not trying to sit here for no 3 hours. So I want to say I was about 22, somewhere in there. I'm 31 now. So when I was about 22 years old, I remember one day I was feeling like crap, and I was like, oh my God, I feel like shit. And I have sinuses, like I have sinus problems. So I was like, maybe it's my sinuses. So at this time, I was working at Target. So I go to work and I'm miserable the whole day at work. And it was weird because like I was up and down. Like 1 second I would be feeling okay, and then I would eat something. And as soon as I ate something, I would feel horrible again. Oh, another thing is like this condition has a lot, like what you eat has a lot to do with it. So like foods that are high in salt really make you feel shitty. So every time I would eat, the food I was eating contained too much salt, which is why I would start feeling shitty. So that went on for about a week, and I was just feeling bad. And I was like, I don't know what's going on or whatever. So by coincidence, another thing, this condition, losing 10% of your body weight helps. So you lose 10% of your body weight and the symptoms will go away. So this is why I went years with no diagnosis. So my friend and I, we were like, we're getting ready to go on a trip. We want to be sexy. Let's go to the gym. So we started going to the gym 4 times a week for like a month or two. And I lost weight. I was losing weight, feeling good. I was feeling great. And with me losing the weight, of course, I started feeling better. So I noticed that my sight, I was like, dang, my glasses, I think I need some new glasses. So, I went to the doctor, got a stronger prescription, and I was like, okay, whatever, So fast forward, a couple months go by, we go on our trip, we looked good, came back from the trip, I fell off of my diet again, right? So I'm eating unhealthy again, and I notice I'm feeling shitty again. And I'm like, what is, so I decided to go to the doctor, because at this time around, like, it was so bad, I couldn't take the pain, and I went to the doctor. So this time, when I go to the doctor, I ended up getting admitted because they were like, we don't know why you don't feel good. So they kept me for about a week to try and figure out what was wrong. Did they figure out what was wrong? No, they didn't. All they did was just pump me up with pain medication until I felt better. And in my mind, when I think back on it, now that I know what is going on, I was feeling better because I don't, like, who likes hospital food? Nobody. So you're not eating it. And then you're not feeling well, so you don't really want to eat. And then when you don't eat, what do? You lose weight, right? Exactly. Now, not everyone who has this condition, it's not always because of their weight. In my case, my weight helped. There are some people who your weight, losing it or gaining it, won't matter. You're going to have the problem regardless. But for me, losing weight helps. So, as I was saying, I went to the doctor. I wasn't eating, therefore I was losing the weight. They felt like, oh, you just needed a shit ton of pain medication and now you're feeling better. Okay, almost forgot a part. So rewind. While they're pumping me up with pain meds, they were like, so this condition mimics meningitis. So the doctors were like, you know what, we think this is meningitis. So the doctors would do a lumbar puncture. Now what a lumbar puncture is when they take this long behind needle and they put it up your spine, right? And they have to get all the way to the 5th vertebrae and then they pop the needle in between the vertebrae, and then they drain the fluid from out of your spine, because your spinal cord has fluid in it, and all that. So they do that, right? And when they do that, fluid shoots out of the needle, y'all. Like the fluid starts hitting the ceiling, and all the doctors are jumping back like, whoa, like, oh my God, like wow. Well, they're like, well, let's just take some of this fluid off. Like, it's not even registering in their mind. Like, this is a lot of fluid. And the abundance of fluid is a clear indicator of pseudotumor cerebri. But when I was going through this, it was in the beginning when they didn't really know much about it. Like, it was such a rare disease. Like, they're like, what? Like, so that happened, and they filled up like 8 vials with fluids. No lie. 8 vials of fluid off of my spine. So, y'all, of course, once they get those 8 vials of fluid out of my spine, I felt so much better. I was like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And they were like, oh, okay, well, you feel better, so we're just gonna send you home. They never figured out what was wrong. All they knew was I felt better, and they didn't want me in the hospital anymore. Taking up their space, right? So they ended up discharging me. Now, I get discharged from the hospital, and what's the first thing I do? I eat. Because I've been in the hospital eating that nasty food. I want some real food. Where do I go? McNasty. McDonald's, which I have completely cut out of my diet. I don't eat it anymore. I go to McDonald's and I eat a fry and some nuggets. And when I say as soon as I ate those fries and those nuggets, right back downhill again. So, okay, so I would go through this cycle like every 6 months. I would not be feeling good. I would lose weight unintentionally, and then go back to eating bad and not feeling well again. Because during this whole time, I was already on a weight loss journey, not knowing that I really needed to be. So I went on with that for about 2 or 3 years, in and out the hospital for a random reason that they don't know. They would give me pain meds and send me home for years. No, they didn't even try to figure it out. Okay, something else that I want to share. The doctors always say that they don't know what the relation with birth control and pseudotumor cerebri is, but the way I put it together in my mind is the hormones in the birth control, and the hormones make you gain weight. A lot of people on birth control, when they're on birth control, they gain weight, like they're the heaviest they've ever been in their life because of the birth control and the hormones. So, and when I got on birth control, I did gain a lot of weight. I went from 190 pounds to 220 in a very short time span. Okay, so fast forward to, I want to say 2014, I was 24. This is the year I got diagnosed. So, my insurance was military. I had TRICARE. My dad was Air Force. So I was still under his health insurance. So I had to go to a military-based facility hospital, which is pretty much a bunch of students who don't know what they're doing anyway. So I go to the urgent care. Well, not the urgent care, the emergency room at the base hospital. And I'm telling them, I have this really bad headache. And the nurses despise headache patients. You come in there and tell them you have a headache, and they they throw you to the side. They make you wait in the waiting room a whole 8 hours, real life. They treat you so shitty because they think you're wasting their time. But I was like, I have a headache and my vision is very blurry. I like, I don't know what's going on. And they're like, okay, whatever, wait. So I'm waiting in the emergency room for hours. And when I finally get seen, I'm telling them that, I have this headache and I can't really see. My vision is blurred. And they do another lumbar puncture. And guess what? Once again, fluid is shooting out the needle. But did that alarm them? No, it didn't. They still were like, oh, we don't know what's wrong with you. So they were just like, give her pain medicine. So, matter of fact, the doctor that I saw was so irritated with me, and he leaves the room, but the door was cracked, and I can hear him talking to the nurse outside the door, and the nurse is like, well, what do you want us to do, or whatever, and the doctor was like, she just wants pain medicine. Just give her pain medicine. I don't care. I have other things to do. And I was just like, wow. Okay, whatever. So, of course, I'm not a healthcare professional. I don't know what else to do. So I take the pain medicine. So they pumped me up with morphine once again. And then I had to have my dad come pick me up because I couldn't drive with morphine in my system. So, y'all, when I say I did this almost every day for like a week. So, after that time, I go back again. Because remember I said I was going almost every day for that whole week. Because at this point, I was in so much pain and I just wanted help. I was just begging for help. So, I would go every day. I had to get up and drag myself to work. And I was a CNA, y'all. I was a CNA. I was lifting 200-pound patients. I was on my feet I worked the night. I worked 3 to 11. I was on my feet all night and not feeling good. Headache, head pounding, can't see. Like my vision was like it was going like slowly getting dark and dark. It was like tunnel vision. It was like I was looking through like paper towel holders. And I'm at work like this, driving like this. And I'm trying to remember. Hold on. Okay, yeah. So I go back again, and as soon as I come in and I admit myself and I sit down in the waiting room, there was this nurse, and I remember her like it was yesterday. Her name was Miss Johnson. Yeah, Miss Johnson, if you're watching, yeah, I'm talking about you. She was a black lady. Black lady. You would think I would get compassion from her, but no. She was the meanest, nastiest nurse. Oh my God, y'all. That woman was so mean and nasty to me. It was so crazy. Like, she was like, I don't understand why you keep coming here. There's nothing we can do for you. And I'm like, but I can't see. My vision is slowly going. I need help. I was like, if you can't help me, then send me somewhere where I can get help. Mind you, okay, I know doctors, like, emergency room is for emergencies, but I kept calling my doctor. Excuse me. I kept calling my doctor and trying to get an appointment, and they would set my appointment 2 months out, but I needed help now. And I knew if I could go to the emergency room and maybe they can figure something out, that is the quickest way in to see your doctor, because they would give you an emergency visit with your doctor. Okay, so I'm in the emergency room, and this rude nurse is taking my blood pressure. You know how they triage you and they do your vitals and stuff first. So she was like slamming stuff down, yanking my arm around, and she's like, you keep coming in here. I don't know what you want us to do for you. And I was like, I want you to help me because I can't see. And at this point, y'all, I'm in tears. I am crying, like boohoo crying, snot nose. And she had a student in the room with her. Now, this student was military because I remember she had on a uniform. The nurse that was rude to me was like a civilian. So I'm crying, snot nose, like, and the student looked like, oh my God. Like, even the student knew that the way the nurse was treating me was not right. So I was like, I can't see. I was like, I don't know why you're mad at me. I was like, I'm just asking you to help me. Like, I'm begging this woman. And this woman is like, whatever, just whatever. Go back out in the waiting room and we'll get to you when we get to you. So I go back out in the waiting room and I'm sitting there on the couch and I call my mother on the phone and I'm crying. I'm boohoo crying. I'm telling my mom what happened. But my mother lives in Delaware. So she can't just readily get to me because my mother is a nurse and my mother don't play. So my mom was like, she was like, yo, give the nurse the phone. But I'm super nice. I'm super nice. And I was like, no, Mom, I don't want to do that. I was like, I'm grown. Like, she doesn't have to take the phone from me. Like, she doesn't have to take that and this and the other. So my mom was like, okay, fine, Brittany, whatever. I'll let you handle it. But she was like, but please don't make me drive up there. And I was like, listen, I didn't want my mom to drive up there because my mom don't play. So I'm sitting in the waiting room or whatever, waiting. I waited for I want to say 4 hours. So finally they come back and they call my name. And that same rude nurse, Miss Johnson, Miss Johnson comes back and they had this eye chart on the wall. And it's, first of all, I have it memorized because I've been seeing it so many times now. The big E at the top and then the SVN and then they keep going and getting smaller and smaller. She had me cover one eye, and I can see it with that eye, but it was very blurry and very faint. Everything had this white cast to it. And my vision is still like that to this day. But, yeah, so then she had me cover the left eye. So now my right eye is the one that's totally blind. So at this point, I go to cover the left eye, and I break down again. Because as soon as I did that, it was dark. I saw nothing. I couldn't see anything. And I was like, I just bust out into tears. And she's like, what is wrong now? And I was like, I cannot see that chart out of this eye. And I barely can see it out of the left eye. And so she's like, okay. Just calm down. She's like, all right, let's just go to the back. So they took me to the back and they put me in a room. So after we get to the back and they put me in a room, I finally get a doctor who has a little compassion. And at this point, I was crying, and the damage to my eyes was so bad that at this point, it's noticeable. The first couple times I came in there, they really couldn't tell. But at this point, my optic nerves were so swollen. They said that even my retinas were swollen. And they said you could see hemorrhaging all in my eyes. My blood vessels were burst. It was so bad, and I couldn't see anything. They would tell me to cover up my left eye. I couldn't see nothing out the right eye. My left eye barely had a visual field. I'm distraught. I'm crying all over the place. My shirt is wet. And so now they have some compassion. Now everybody's rubbing my back and talking all sweet. And Miss Johnson, I had to threaten her. I took her badge number down and her name, and I was like, when I sue y'all, the first person I'm coming for is you. So, of course, after I said that, honey, she straightened up. Now, all of a sudden, she cares. So, okay, back to what I was saying, because I'm all over the place, y'all. I'm in the room, and now everybody's giving a fuck. Now everybody's rubbing my back, saying, don't worry, we're going to figure it out. And now, all of a sudden, the doctor's like, I think you have a pseudotumor. Where was this energy years ago? Where was this energy? So he's like, I'm going to send you on an ambulance because I couldn't drive. Because at this point, y'all, I don't even know how I got to the emergency room. I don't know, because my eyesight was that bad. And I got behind the wheel and drove myself to the emergency room. But it was like, you can't, we're going to send you in an ambulance to Walter Reed. That's the hospital. I spent about a month at Walter Reed. So they put me in the ambulance. They send me to Walter Reed. And y'all, this is when the story starts looking up. Yes, I lost my sight, but the doctors there were amazing. And I met this doctor. a black male, and I felt like I used to tell him all the time he saved my life. But this is where I'm going to end my story, y'all, because I got stuff to do. I know it was a short story, but like I say, we'll be here all night or all for 3 hours trying to tell the story. So I just gave y'all the first little piece. And also, like, as I remember, because I told y'all trauma, you forget things. So as I remember other small details, I'll make sure I pick up the camera and like give y'all those other small stories in between. Right now, I'm just doing an overall general synopsis of the story, just so y'all can get the gist of it. But yeah, so if you like my content, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, leave me a comment, tell me what you think of what I told you. Do y'all think that the doctors should have done better? Do you think the way they treated me was horrible? Because I definitely do. Let me know. And I'll see you guys next time.